Okay, hello, welcome to the video. You might have noticed that this is in fact not episode 9 of How Strong Are They Anyway. Oh my gosh, I had an original idea. So, you know what this is, but let me explain because you might be a little bit confused. So there's this thing called an iceberg chart, where the idea is that when you apply it to a show, at the top you put things that everyone knows about and is not obscure at all, and the further down you go, the more obscure the things are. Like you might name some weird theory or some metadata in a game or something like that. So that's what the idea is of the iceberg chart. And from that, there are these videos on YouTube called Iceberg Explained, where pretty much just someone that knows a lot about the subject or show explains everything on the iceberg. So what I've done is I have made an iceberg for Doctor Who, something that I know quite a bit about. And now I'm going to make this video where I explain it. It is quite a small one because each thing will take me about like a minimum of 30 seconds to explain. And the further down we go, it'll take me longer and longer because they get harder to explain and more out of general knowledge. So yeah, I possibly plan to do one on Rick and Morty, The Simpsons, and Metal Gear in the future, but I'm not making any promises. It depends how much people like this series. Okay, let's get into the first one. This out of the 90s, this is the most bare bones basic. It's things you've probably heard of, even if you haven't watched the show at all. First one being the TARDIS. This is the time machine that the Doctor travels in. If you didn't know this, just leave, because you won't enjoy the rest of the video if you don't know what a fucking TARDIS is. And the same with Dalek. It's like the second oldest Doctor Who villain, and comes second only to these cavemen that think the Doctor's a magician for having a lighter. Okay, the BBC, haha, I just wanted to include this because it sounds like big black cock. Anyway, I hope that didn't mess up my microphone. Sonic Screwdriver. It's the Doctor's magic wand. And that's very merchandisable. Cha-ching, baby! Alright, on to number 2. You can still know these things without watching the show, but if you do know them, you've probably watched like an episode or two of the new series, probably. K9 being one of these. It's the Doctor's robot dog that belonged to the Third Doctor and the Fourth Doctor, but also showed up in season 2 and 4 of the new series. The Doctor or Doctor Who? This question is referring to that in the show the Doctor is referred to as such most of the time, but in original scripts of the very, very early show, he's always referred to as Doctor Who. Also, Missy claims that it's his real name. So, when people claim that it's the Doctor, not Doctor Who, they're in fact showing that they have less knowledge of the show than someone that actually knows a lot of stuff. Regeneration. It's the thing where the Doctor explodes and he becomes a woman. Number 3. If you know this stuff, you've watched the show and have probably gotten a little bit into it. In this, I've just put the 2 mainline spin-offs that were popular. First one being Torchwood. This is an organisation within the show, like in the fictional universe, it's called Torchwood. It was set up by Queen Victoria because she was scared of aliens existing and didn't trust the Doctor, so she set up this organisation. And it also got its own spin-off show that was the most successful. It got 4 seasons. I love almost all of them. And it stars Captain Jack Harkness, you know, the immortal guy with the big Sarah Jane Adventures. This is another spin-off show of Doctor Who that starred the 3rd and 4th Doctor's companion Sarah Jane. You know, just on Earth, in the same town, usually in the same school, dealing with aliens and stuff. Number 4. The Watcher. Okay, so this is this weird, completely white figure that is just there near the end of Tom Baker's run. When the Fourth Doctor fell and died, instead of just regenerating with no assistance, like in most of the regenerations, he merges with this white figure. It is later explained to be this in exterior media, but it was really weird for people watching at the time because it just made no sense. Okay, the Vallyard. This is the guy who is called the Dark Side of the Doctor, somewhere in between his 10th and final reincarnation as claimed by the Master. The Dark Side of the Doctor.
Sound familiar?
Number 5. This is the midpoint. You're if you know this stuff, you're definitely a Doctor Who fan, and you're acutely aware of expanded universe stuff too. The Doctor's mother. Okay, so in The End of Time, Part 2, this woman shows up, and it's never really explained verbally who she is in the show. And David Tennant said he was instructed to look at her as if she were a motherly figure. But then again, in Hellbent, the Doctor shows up at this woman's house. So, is she the Doctor's mother? Because they're obviously not the same person, so which one's the Doctor's mother? Are either of them the Doctor's mother? This is something that's never explained. Also, the Timeless Children doesn't fucking help.
Tectaeun, 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 Tectaeun.
Shut up, shut it up.
Class. This is the most recent spin-off of the show of Doctor Who, and it was rubbish. Alright, K9 and Company, another spin-off of the show that got a pilot episode, got a couple million viewers, but for some reason never got another episode. On to number 6. This is proper fan shit. Curse of the Fatal Death. Alright. For this, you need to imagine if Rowan Atkinson, Mr. Bean, Blackadder himself, played the Doctor. This is it. It's fucking fantastic. He did it. It's epic. It is cool. I love it. Big Finish. This is an audio drama company that has made so much Doctor Who content that some claim if you consume it all, it will take you longer to do so than if you tried to watch every single episode of Doctor Who ever, even the lost ones, because they have made so much. Number 7. This is some really strange fan theories, really. I just thought they belonged deeper. The Headless monks killed Captain Jack. This is a fan theory that ties the tease of Season 3 that the immortal Captain Jack Harkness, after millions of years, becomes the face of Bo. Who is the face of Bo? It's a gigantic head in a jar with tentacles. The theory is that these guys who cut people's heads off and somehow keep them conscious did this to Captain Jack. This is supported by Dorian, this giant blue fat guy, who is a friend of the monks, having a vortex manipulator from who he calls a handsome young time agent. Handsome? Yeah, not young, but he looks young. Time agent? Rory is the master. This is another fan theory that came to be because Rory is not surprised by the TARDIS being bigger on the inside. That's it. Some also tag on that he keeps coming back from the dead, like a Time Lord, but there are individual explanations for each time he did this. Also, he explains in the episode why he's not surprised that it's bigger on the inside. I just hate this theory so much. Tier 8. Now we're pretty deep into this, and I don't blame you if you're confused and or would like to leave now. Marvel Comics. You see, if you didn't know by now, the Doctor Who has comics that are published, and some of these were published by Marvel. And you know what that means? For every comic that is published by Marvel is in the Marvel multiverse. And this isn't just a technicality. Doctor Who is canonically in the Marvel multiverse, Earth 5556 to be exact. Matt Smith's ghost pressed the buttons. So, in the 10th Planet, the episode where the Doctor regenerates, he for the first time, he falls and some of the TARDIS buttons have been pushed, but nobody is pushing them or went anywhere near them at all. Later, a documentary of this episode being made is released, and the recreation of that scene, Matt Smith as the Doctor appears as a sort of ghost of the legacy William Hartnell was leaving behind. And guess what he's doing? Yeah, he's fiddling around with the buttons on the console. Matt Smith's ghost pressed the buttons. Faction paradox. This is super weird. This is like the strangest, most obscure thing ever. It's hard to really explain what happens in the story because it isn't earthly at all. It's like you can't dumb it down. You need to read the comics and listen to the audio stories to understand what this is. But essentially, with the relation to Doctor Who, it's a story that one of the writers wanted to continue from the audio drama. However, he wasn't allowed to, so he went to another company and he said, "Oh, can I continue this, but in like a sneaky way?" And they let him. And there's good news and bad news. The good news is he owns the rights to those unique characters he created. But the bad news was that if he dares mentions the word TARDIS, Doctor, etc., the BBC will murder him. To get around this, the things in the story refer to aliens in the original story as gods or something like that, or like totems. Iris Wild Time. So just imagine that Miss Frizzle, the one that drives the children on the bus, was in Doctor Who. This is her. She is somehow more confusing than the Doctor, and claims things such as she doesn't live her life in order, and she has several pasts that all equally exist at the same time. This is a very strange character indeed. Frobisher. Let's take a little break, just to look at a couple of companions in the new series. Girl from Modern Day Earth, 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 and Girl from Modern Day Earth with company. Okay. So, one time the Doctor travelled around with a shape-shifting penguin named Frobisher who works as a private investigator. He is in many e-comics and audio books, but he is never given a farewell or a death or anything like that. So some people theorise that this guy in season 3 of Torchwood, remember I mentioned that earlier, because he has the last name Frobisher. Why is this? And he is played by Peter Capaldi, the person that played the 12th Doctor. But if you look back at another theory, that is, the Doctor takes his faces from people that he wronged or whatever, another person was already confirmed to be what the Doctor basically Peter Capaldi face off of, and it's this guy, not this guy with the last name Frobisher. And this is, so people theorise that this is him. This is Frobisher after he leaves the Doctor's TARDIS for some reason. So why exactly is him being here his farewell?
I want you to remember him like that. If ever you think of John Frobisher, just remember that it wasn't his fault.
Now he's gone, I don't know why. Until this day, sometimes I cry. He didn't even say goodbye, he didn't take the time to lie. Bang, bang, he shot me down, bang, bang, I hit the ground, bang, bang. That awful sound, bang, bang.
Yeah, this lovely character, this comical character ending is Mercer killing his family and then himself. Torchwood is dark. I don't like it. This is extremely obscure stuff right here, down to tier 9. The police sued the BBC. BBC. One time, the police sued the BBC for having a police box that existed on their show. The police lost. The end. Patrick Troutman's secret family. So Patrick Troutman, who played the second Doctor, did something very weird with his family, and sort of clever, but sort of fucked up too. He basically cheated on his wife, and married the woman that he had the affair with, and then had children with her. But while he did this, he kept it a complete secret from his mother for several years, tricking her into thinking that he was still married to the same woman. Did she find out? No, he did it till she was dead. Number 10. This is the weirdest shit out there. You will not find anything more obscure about Doctor Who. Or maybe you will and I'm just dumb. Zygon, when being you just isn't enough. This is a weird-ass spin-off movie from 2008 about two Zygons trapped on Earth. It was never broadcast on TV and it went straight to DVD. It was only created because at the time the licensing for some Doctor Who characters and villains and monsters and aliens was up for anyone to use, though through a strange legal loophole. There were a whole lot of these non-official spin-offs, so you can check them out. None of them are like good, but they're kind of so bad they're alright. Dr. Omega. To explain this, first I will show a picture of Dr. Omega. Alright, now this is what the first Doctor looks like. I'm starting to see some similarities between the two, and so have others. Not only do they look almost identical, but the story of Dr. Omega is the same, but the time machine is invisible. The thing is that Dr. Omega was published 57 years before An Unearthly Child was aired. Since Doctor Who is so obviously based on Dr. Omega, there must be some evidence in the scripts or something, right? No? A statement by someone in the BBC? No? Anything? Well, this guy might be a reference to him, but even that's a stretch. So, where's Dr. Omega? So, was the Doctor Who based on Dr. Omega, or was this just a coincidence? I guess we'll never know. Van Gogh Painting. So, you know that episode where the Doctor visits Van Gogh, and then the season finale, Van Gogh paints the TARDIS exploding? Well, 2 years after this episode aired, this painting was declared an official painting of Van Gogh. This one, not this one. It looks like the TARDIS quite a bit, right here in the corner. And people who have seen the real-life place, and if we look at it on Google Maps, but I'm not going to bother looking because I don't want to search the entire planet to find it. But people claim that it looks more like the TARDIS than the actual destination. So, people are like, Doctor Who equal real? No, it doesn't. No, no, Doctor Who isn't real. Doctor's true name. This is the deepest, darkest you could possibly get. This is the greatest mystery of the show, and heaps of people can't solve it at all. It seems that the Doctor either can't or really doesn't want to tell anyone. This is shown by the fact that he'll rather let several of his friends die by their hearts being stopped than tell the Great Intelligence what his name is. Some pretty big fans, perhaps tier 7, would know that the Doctor's nickname in the Academy on Gallifrey was Sigma, but this is a nickname, not his true name. But it's this is his name. We can see a little Sigma there, but you can't really pronounce it as a name, only an equation, which is this. So either this is his actual name, or this is his name dumbed down to the best level possible that a human can comprehend it. Anyway, thank you for watching another video of mine. I think I have talked over an hour about Doctor Who now, thanks to this video on the channel. So, thanks for putting up with my bullshit. Goodbye. Also, one last thing. I'm gonna do a shout out to these people. This channel's name is called Is It Okay to Pick Up 3 Boys in a Podcast? I know all these people personally. They go to my school, and I would genuinely recommend anyone that watches this video to listen to them talk about anime for an hour almost. Alright, bye-bye.
Do you know where I can get any crack? Yes. You say yes. You do? Where? My house. You got crack?